Don't you know I sit around, yeah, waiting for Chelsea to sign a midfielder. What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel of Football Therapy with me, your host Jan, here in the Stamford Bridge studio. I hope you're doing well. Really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News. Today we're discussing footballers. Joško Gvardiol of Croatia and of course RB Leipzig, heavily linked to Chelsea, has made comment. The 20-year-old, only 20 years old and lighting up the world stage at the World Cup. Incredibly exciting indeed. And also Bennacer, the geezer who plays for Italian champions Milan. That's right, the current Scudetto holders. This midfielder, Chelsea reportedly can go in for him in January. Friggin' told you we might sign a midfielder in January, and hot dog, we need one. We will look at his stats as well. I'll put a graphic up on the screen. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. Settle in. Thank you for liking the video. You're welcome to subscribe, should you choose to do so. Hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Dude, this video is brought to you by OneFootball, and it's a wonderful time to be utilizing OneFootball because there is lots of football to look at. Fixtures, results, lineup, match statistics, and yes, transfer stories. Of course, as the January transfer window just next month, it's a matter of days now, it's coming closer. You need to utilize the totally free app, OneFootball. Just clicking the link in the description. Go check it out now. Click it. Wicked. Good stuff. Yep. Okay. Bit of a lag there, but YOLO. Welcome back to the studio. We will talk about Gvardiol and his comments, and that is very exciting. But Alfredo Padula, remember him? Italiano journalist? Ah, yes. Talking about Bennacer. I think I'm pronouncing this right, Bennacer. It's not Bennacer. I think it's Bennacer. Anyway, he's a 25-year-old who plays for Milan. I'm going to be reading Sempre Milan. I've said that with a French accent. Citing the 40 million euro bid ready. Now, 40 million euros in sterling is about 37 million pounds for a January transfer signing. Not that much, because usually you get your testicles squeezed so hard that you don't think it's a good idea. But I don't know if 40 million is a testicle squeezing amount of money. What am I saying? Milan may well have to brace themselves for offers from abroad for Ismaël Bennacer while they continue to grapple with his renewal. So here comes Alfredo Padula. Do we trust him as a journalist? I have no idea, but his name's floated around a lot over recent years. He writes how Bennacer, who turned 25 yesterday, okay, that's cool. It makes a difference, doesn't it? Because he could, 25 yesterday or 26 tomorrow. Yeah, there's a lot in it. Remains a fundamental player for Milan, but with his contract set to expire in June 2024 and no imminent agreement over an extension, his future remains uncertain. An interesting turning point has come to, there's no comma, as he has chosen to get rid of his previous agent Moussa Sissoko in order to have Enzo Raiola represent him. Next week, there will be a summit between Raiola and technical director Paolo Maldini to discuss a renewal that is, quote, not easy. Now, I reckon this is going to be about those sweet, sweet peas. One thing's for sure, Chelsea can offer more money than Milan, but do we want Bennacer? We'll get to that in a moment. No agreements have been reached before the change in attorney, and while Bennacer is obviously attached to Milan and would be willing to renew, his minimum figure for doing so is 4 million euro net plus bonuses, which isn't that much, and if they're not willing to offer him that, I know a team in southwest London that certainly will. Padula adds that there was a lot of talk of Liverpool being interested. Nah, you don't want to go live in Liverpool, mate. But that has not become concrete. But Chelsea appreciate Bennacer a lot and would offer 40 million euros in January. Man United are also keen, but perhaps they do not have the same appeal as Chelsea is present. Oh, that's very kind. I mean, United will give you a lot of money and they're currently doing better in the league. But we need to remember the recurring running theme here that Chelsea have a really interesting project. They've got huge ambitions of building, like I said in the last video yesterday, the team for tomorrow, but also the recruitment strategy, the joined up thinking. United has just generally been a crap show for a while. So maybe that's what they mean by appeal. Yeah, so he's intrigued of the idea of being of his future being in England, and Chelsea would pay this January, next month, 40 million euro. So, Bennacer, obviously a really, really important figure, midfielder for Milan. Let's have a look at his strengths from his FB scouting report. So, here's where he is good at, the highest percentiles in terms of his metrics. Now, ball recoveries per 90, he makes nearly 10. So, 98. So, he's got that, I guess, like, N'Golo Kante-ish vibe. But he also is very, very good at tackles into the defensive third. So, in a way, he's kind of CDM-y. Like, he's going to sit back and sweep up and make tackles, make ball recoveries. And that's generally his priority, which is great because we're weak on transition. But despite tackles being the fourth best metric, before that, shot creating actions, nearly 4 shot creating actions per game. He likes tackling dribblers after he's doing lots of tackles. Look at all those tackles. Tackles. Shot creating actions, which is good. Tackles and interceptions is really good. And he's, pass completion is pretty tidy. He even likes a dribble himself. To be honest, he looks like a pretty decent player. Nearly 1.7 key passes per game at the bottom there as well. So he's like a defensive guy, but he's also creative. So he's interceptive, he makes tackles, he can defend you on transition, but he's a little bit creative in there as well. And Chelsea need creativity. We need a central defensive midfielder, but we need also to maintain that creativity. It's kind of why Declan Rice would be really good. I think Chelsea will go in for him in the summer. Of course, Declan Rice has spoken to the media of late in the England camp, pretty much saying he's ambitious. He wants to play in the Champions League. He wants to win. He's said this 2 years ago. He's pretty much saying, yes, I am leaving West Ham this summer, one way or another. And I'm not saying it's definitely going to be Chelsea. Chelsea, in the race as far as I'm concerned, but it does look like Chelsea desperately want to get a midfielder in. We've got a lot of midfielders, and we're not going to do this talk again, maybe very quickly. All our midfielders are good. We've got attacking eights, Mount, Gallagher, we've got dribblers, interceptors, Kovacic, Kante, we've got Ragistas in Jorginho, who's training as we speak, at Cobham, getting ready for Bournemouth, the next Premier League game, whenever that is. Carney, Cesare Cazorla is coming through. We want to buy Arsene Zakarim. Chelsea clearly want a senior player that they have a certain profile they can drop in sooner rather than later. That's why we desperately tried to sign Alvarez from Ajax at the end of the summer window. He tried to force a move to Chelsea away from Ajax. He couldn't complete that because Ajax had already sold Antony and Lisandro Martinez to United. They were losing all their first teamers. They just simply couldn't do it. But Chelsea wanted him. We were looking at different midfielders. I do think we'll sign a midfielder in January. Whether it's going to be Alvarez or Bennacer, I'm not sure. But clearly Chelsea are going to put tens of millions of euros on the table for a player. Let me know what you think. Comment down below on your Bennacer opinions, and let's move on. Right, jumping into an article by David Ornstein on The Athletic. And this is exciting. Many of you who have watched Croatia play of late will know, and indeed RB Leipzig, but will know Joško Gvardiol is a player that's very, very good. He's playing far beyond his years. He's 20 years old. You've heard Kovacic talk about him in press conferences recently, being like, yeah, he's just incredible for a 20-year-old. Chelsea have scouted him for probably 18 months plus now. A long, long time. Chelsea have been looking at him and want him. He's just very good. Now, David Ornstein has written an article here, which we're going to dive into. It's relatively short, about his comments on Chelsea. Ooh, and Chelsea do have a strong relationship with RB Leipzig, of course, recently selling back. Well, we loaned Ampadu to them, remember that? I mean, it was shit, but we did that. We bought Timo Werner off them for, their release clause. We sold Timo Werner back to them for a very low price, which they would have been happy about because they like him. We've signed a pre-agreement for the transfer of Christopher Nkunku, and the dialogue will be open for Gvardiol, which we're about to get into. But we like taking their staff, technical directors from the RB model. Todd Boehly's got a hard on for all that kind of stuff. So, the relationship is there. Right, let's jump in. Croatian defender Joško Gvardiol has spoken about speculation linking him to Chelsea. Ding, straight in. The 20-year-old centre-back excelled during his country's 0-0 draw with Belgium. But, a 0-0 draw sounds really anticlimactic. Not for a defender, though. On Thursday afternoon, a result which sent his nation into the knockouts in the World Cup. Asked by The Athletic about a potential move to Chelsea Football Club, the RB Leipzig player replied this, quote, "About me and Chelsea? I don't know. You know what happened in the last few months? To be honest, I have no idea." So when he's saying, you know what happened in the last few months, he's probably thinking Chelsea infamy. He then says, "My agent is taking care of this and we will see. Right now, I'm happy at Leipzig." Oh, the generic, generic comment you always hear. "I don't know. We will see. You never know. You know the stories and these things, but all I can say is I'm happy right now and I'm going to stay and perform for them." He went on to discuss the presence of compatriot Mateo Kovacic at Chelsea, mentioning that he regularly talks with the midfielder. So he goes on, and Gvardiol says this: "It's a big club, and of course, who knows? Maybe one day I will be there. It's really nice to see things like this, especially because there is Kovacic, so you never know. I like to talk with him. Even to be here on the biggest event, big things for me at 20 years old. I'm so happy to think about it." Interesting. He says, I'm happy at Leipzig. He's not slagging off his current club. Why would you? You don't want to do your current club dirty. He says Chelsea are a big club. Maybe one day I'll be there, which is a pretty massive thing. He could say, "Oh, I'm flattered to be linked with big clubs such as Chelsea. What a great club, but we'll see what happens." But to say maybe one day I will be there and we all know what's been going on, as in we all know the stories linking me to Chelsea, maybe one day I'll be there, that is pretty sensational. Now, Laurie Whitwell of The Athletic tweeted this. That's also cited in the article. Joško Gvardiol is starting the World Cup just age 20. Igor Biscan, the Croatia under-21s boss, said this: "He'll be one of the most expensive defenders ever when he changes club, probably in a year or two. No matter the occasion, he plays with such composure." Now, I'm not sure when that quote was taken, if that was recently or if that was prior. But yes, Joško Gvardiol will cost a lot of money. He's ruddy wicked. Now, I'm one of these people that think we've got a very, very good defender in Levi Colwill that I feel like can be utilised in our first team defence. I feel like the future of Chelsea's defence could, and I think should be a back four. Now, regardless, because of his age and because of how much I love him and how much Chelsea paid for him, the right-sided centre-back will be Wesley Fofana. Now, you might think that's hard on Trevor Chalobah, who's just signed a new deal, but I think Trevor Chalobah could play in midfield, he could play on either side of the defence. He might be a little bit of a utility player. He's still really young, of course, not as young as Fofana, but Gvardiol is younger than them all. He's a year younger than Fofana. Levi Colwill was 19 as well. So they could be the four defenders that rotate in a back four. Now, you could have Colwill and Gvardiol rotating on the left and challenging on the left, and you could have Fofana and Trevor Chalobah rotating and challenging on the right. That's what I think personally. I would really, really like Joško Gvardiol. The way he defends is titanic. He looks like a 30-year-old defender in terms of his positional intelligence, but he's young and athletic. He takes the ball at the pitch, he dribbles up the pitch. He's brave and exciting, and he's been looked at like that for a while. He's not just breaking out in the World Cup and doing well. He's been doing this for Leipzig in the Champions League, in the Bundesliga. People think he's great, and now, of course, to supplement that, he's doing it on the biggest stage for his country. It doesn't bode well for anyone who wants to buy him, because it's just going to crank up the price. The people that will be most pleased about this is, of course, his current parent club, and that is, of course, RB Leipzig. So that's where we're at. I really want to know what you guys think. Do you agree with me that it would be a good signing? Do you think it'll be too much money? Do you think it's worth doing? I'll be really intrigued to get the comments. I'm going to look down the comments and reply to some and see what you guys are discussing amongst yourselves. I think it would be an exciting signing. talk about the midfield situation, Bennacer or Alvarez, and also let me know what you think of the centre-backs. Feel free to check out OneFootball. It's free. Link in the top of the description. And yeah, man. Dope. I'm out. Peace.